everybody. It's Monday once again, and that means it's movie time.
Yeah.
This was a good one.
Yeah, we don't know how much of this we can spoil.
Well, yeah, okay. So the thing about this movie, because I think one of y'all said in the chat when we said that we were thinking about going and seeing this over the weekend, they said, well, it's not really like it was in the trailer, which is kind of partly true.
It's like that in the trailer. It just gets more intense.
It just goes in a direction you maybe didn't expect.
Yeah.
Is all. But like I said, I like that because, you know, if you see a trailer and it spoils the whole fucking movie, then why bother going and seeing the movie? So I kind of like that it still was because I saw the trailer multiple times, but the whole time I'm sitting there going, where is this going? Like, I'm not really sure. And I kind of liked that about it because, like, the suspense was really good, you know?
This movie had really good acting in it. It had really good writing. All right. It's about these two Mormon girls who are, they're what do you call it, door to door? They're proselytizing, right? They're trying.
They're like missionary.
They're doing their
missionary thing.
And they answer a request to go to this dude's house. You know, he said he was interested in it, so they show up.
They get leads.
And it's fucking what's his name? Hugh Downs? No,
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant's in there playing this role. This friendly dude, he seems real friendly, but he's just kind of like, you can tell he's kind of putting one over on him, or trying to. You don't know how it's going to go. They can't get out of the house. It turns out the dude is a Christian mythicist, which I'm a Christian mythicist, you know, all right? He's a Christian mythicist, but he's searching for the one true religion. And he's basically a serial killer. Kinda, yeah. I would call him a serial killer.
I guess technically. I mean,
I don't think he's not. Not exactly like a serial, but he's killing people. And
but it's a lot more complicated.
It's a lot more complicated than that. He's got this house that's fucking. He said his wife made it, but he lied. He didn't have a wife. He had this house that was kind of like triangular, and it went down. It was weird. It was built like a maze or a puzzle. He even had a little model. They show you the model of it. You could take the roof off and see inside to the different levels. And it's fucking spooky, man. He makes them choose these doors based upon their faith, you know. And then he shows them stuff. And bad shit happens. And there's all these weird subterranean passages in this that goes underneath the ground. And it's like something... Like a lot of times when I have a bad dream, sometimes I end up underground in places like they're showing in this. It's like water dripping from the ceilings and these weird fucking occult paintings and bones and an occasional dead body and stuff, you know. And it's just fucking weird, you know. And you know, when all this is happening, it's explained to you. He explains it step by step, and certain shit happens. So it's hard to describe. I'll probably let Jen fucking start from it. But I thought the movie was a fucking masterpiece.
I legit loved this.
Yeah.
Well, because like we were watching it the whole time, and I was just like on the edge of my seat, going, "What the fuck is going? Like, what is happening?" And it's just like, and the thing about it though, it's A24, so it's gonna get that elevated horror tag.
Yeah.
It's not. It's definitely a horror movie, okay?
Not a slasher, though.
It's not a slasher movie. It's got, like, some gore in it, like, a little bit, and, like, some violence and stuff. But it's mostly a psychological horror. And the first half of it is almost all dialogue.
Yeah.
It could almost be like a stage play.
Yeah.
But the dialogue is so interesting and so gripping because you're not really sure what the dude's end game is. Like, what kind of game is he playing with these two girls? Like, you eventually do figure it out, but like for a long time you're just like, what exactly is he trying to do? You know what I mean? And it's just kind of this cat and mouse kind of game between him and the two of them, and you're not entirely sure like what his goal is.
Yeah.
And it's like really creepy.
Yeah, the dude's very intelligent. He's very religious, but he's making up his own religion now. He's calling it the true religion. You find out the true religion is power. That's basically what it is. Power of life and death over people, basically.
Now, Ben says, no spoilers, please. I haven't seen this
yet. No spoilers. No. All right. This one I would definitely go see. It's It's got a lot of hidden stuff in it. I want to see it again. I mean,
yeah, I definitely want to see this again.
They even play games with you with the music, and it's all has to do with things that the dude had said. Like, have you heard this song before? I've never heard this song. Yes, you've heard this song. This is the original version of fucking I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo, right?
Yeah,
by
that
the,
radio song.
by Radiohead, and there you can listen to it. You can kind of hear that that's what that song is. And he goes like they sued them for that. It was and he goes it's just a different iteration of it. Well, they start playing a song one time in the movie at the end. They play the song fucking Mazzy Star's fucking Fade Into You. All right, but you realize it's not Fade Into You. It's fucking Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Yeah.
But man, I got fooled into thinking that was fucking Fade Into You.
And they absolutely did that on purpose.
They did all that shit on purpose because it goes back to what that dude is saying. He's saying these religions are just reboots of one another. But he thought there might have been some truth behind it. And he's got oracles. Let's say that. He's got these girls in captive. He's using them as oracles.
Kind of.
And sacrifices. It's weird. It's fucking...
It's like I said, it went weird. In, I think... Because I was watching a couple other reviews of this because I was kind of curious to see like what other... And most of the other horror channels I watched like loved it. Yeah. Or at least like liked it a lot. One person said that they thought from the trailers... And maybe this is what y'all were talking about when you said like the trailer is not exactly like what the movie is like. Some people thought that the girls would come in the house and get trapped in there, which does happen. But then that it was almost like an escape room type of situation where they had to like fight their way out, like it was some kind of, or there was like all these traps in there. That's not
really.
That's not really what it's like.
Well, it's kind of like that, but they have to go through basically kind of like religious trials.
Yeah.
To move on to the next one.
Kind of. Yeah.
Because shit happens. He shows them some stuff. It has to do with him fucking exploring the occult and the afterlife. It's pretty deep. Pretty fucking deep.
I mean...
And you wonder if any of that might have been paranormal. I don't think it was. I think it was trickery. Because she believed it. But it didn't matter. What the movie's about, I remember before in other episodes I told you, I said, you could make some badass movies, Christian horror movies. It's happened before, like that one fucking with Bill Paxton. Frailty. That was a great Christian horror movie. Because it wasn't trying to toe a line. It just was trying to tell a fucking weird story that could kind of fit into Christianity. Well, this is basically Christian horror.
Yeah.
Basically, it's religious horror.
Yeah, definitely religious.
Christianity's the fucking the vehicle, the starting point, and he gives classes on comparative religion and everything. He compares them to fucking certain other things that I don't want to fucking spoil it. And me being a mythicist, he's absolutely correct through all this. He was taking me down these paths. Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, so we were familiar with a lot of the stuff that he was telling these girls. We're just like, yeah, that's right.
That's right. So they did their work in mythicism. They've shown fucking religious fanatics, I guess you could say, that were killers. People who were Satanists that were killers. This dude's a mythicist, and that was like a fucking different angle, man. And for those of you who don't know, a mythicist is somebody who likes Christianity and all the religions like Judaism and Islam, but they don't necessarily believe that they're true, not literally. That they're fables to teach things to people. They're just cultural stories. And that's what he's gotten. He started off as a Christian, but he realized that it was just stories. But he thought there was something that really inspired it, though. And he was going to explore it. Death, basically. What happens in the afterlife. And he's basically figured out a system to try to, that he thinks gives him access to the afterlife.
See, I don't
know if it did, though.
I don't think it did.
I don't think it did, but I think he tried to make them think that it did.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Because it turns out that he's kind of lying to them about what it is he's thinking. He's really thinking religion is just power.
Well, see, that's what's so interesting about this movie is that even though I kind of feel like the cool thing about it, it's not, I don't want to say ambiguous because it does, but some of the stuff that happens in it is open to interpretation. Yeah. So, And I didn't find it pro-Christian, and I didn't find
No.
it anti-Christian either.
I found it pro-mythicist.
Yeah. Like,
because what ends up happening at one point, in a way, the Mormon girl admits that she doesn't believe that prayer works. She said she's seen studies where they were in sick wards.
yeah,
where
I know
people
what
were
study
praying.
that was a real study.
and
I know what she's talking
that it didn't make a difference if you prayed or not. So she admits that she doesn't believe prayer actually works. Later on, she ends up praying, and it does kind of work in a way.
Or you could interpret
You can
it
interpret
that way.
that way, right?
That might not be what happened.
Right.
But you
And
could interpret it that way if you
Right.
wanted it to. If you wanted to.
She said that it doesn't matter if it works or not. It's just a nice thing to do for people.
Yeah,
All
because
right.
it shows that you're thinking
Right.
of someone else. Like, we don't really care if it works. She didn't say we don't
Yeah.
care if it works, but she said it doesn't
Yeah.
matter that it doesn't work.
And then they set up a story there where she says what she would do if she ever tried to contact somebody had she died and when she was in the afterlife. Well, that happened in the movie. I guess.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But again, that's another
could-
thing
yeah.
that's left open to interpretation.
So it goes back to the mythicist thing where it doesn't matter if it's true or not. If you believe it to be true and you like it, then it's kind of true for you.
And I think that's kind of what they were getting at.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by saying that it's not an anti-Christian, because I kind of feel like Hugh Grant, his character's name is Mr. Reed, by the way.
Yeah,
They never say what
yeah.
his first name is, I don't think. But
And he's kind of like this classy, fucking friendly, grandfatherly gentleman. And he maintains that through most of it.
that's what makes him so creepy,
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
because it's
yeah.
like he's so
He's real charming.
friendly and charming
Yeah.
and engaging,
Right.
but you know he's up to something
Yeah.
sinister. You're just not really sure what it is, and he's not coming across as sinister,
Yeah.
like, at all.
Yeah. And the girls have realized that they've been captured.
Yeah.
Because there's no way out of the house. Because he built this house custom. It's fucking total. The whole house is rigged. Okay?
Pretty much.
With timers and timer locks and timers that turn off power at certain times. I want to go back and look at the shape of that house. It was a triangle, I think.
It did look kind
There was a bunch of
triangular,
occult
didn't it?
symbolism and everything.
Oh, big time.
And I wasn't able to catch it all. He was very educated. He had a huge library. It's like a mansion.
Even though it was a small house.
On the outside.
On the outside, yeah.
Yeah, but it went down underneath the ground.
Like
it had
into it,
fucking
like it was
tunnels.
on a hill, so it had
Yeah.
like all these big basement areas.
Yeah,
and stuff.
and then it had tunnels.
So but like I said, I think that's what was cool about it, is that even though his character is a bad guy, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
he's doing terrible things, but he kind of comes across like a good guy, which kind of makes him scarier, and he has reasons for doing what he's doing, and you kind of understand the reasons. And even though he comes across as not religious, because he's trying to convince them that religions are not real, in a way, he's at least like challenging them to see what will happen.
It's almost kind of like he's trying to challenge them to convince him that it's real.
Yeah, that's kind of
another thing.
because he kind of makes a thing at some point where he's talking about, Judaism is of the monotheistic religions is like the oldest one, and yet it's the one with the fewest adherents.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I think that's because it doesn't have people advertising
They're not
it, like nobody's
proselytizing.
going
Yeah.
door to door and selling it.
Yeah.
And then
It's not
he
growing.
basically compares them to salespeople, like they're just
Yeah.
coming around and like selling
Yeah.
something that they want him to buy. And so he's almost implying that he wants them to convince him to
Yeah.
buy what they're selling to see if they can do it. You know what I mean?
And I really liked the two heroines of the movie, these two cute Mormon girls. And I like how they handled the Mormon characters. They show them as normal, girls who are trying to do the right thing, and they're just following their religion and their customs. And they don't bag on them in the movie. The movie is not attacking them. All right?
No.
Now they show up early on. They get you to have sympathy with these girls because other people were making fun of them.
Yeah, because they thought they were weird.
Right, because that they were weird. But then you find out that no, they were both pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
They rose to the occasion. They did all kinds of stuff. So I really liked that. Had it been another director or another writer, they just would have lampooned them through the whole thing and made them look like idiots. No, they treated them like real characters. And in a way, they both had their personal dignity, and they both were still able to bear their religion. They didn't leave their religion really, and they were like, and in a way, it kind of helped. That's why I say that you could call it Christian horror.
Yeah,
because they were tempted. They didn't lose their faith.
No,
Neither one of them did, and it saved them in a way.
Kind of.
But it's open to interpretation. It's open to interpretation.
Try not to spoil anything.
But no,
Hard.
But I thought it was a very fucking cool handling of the fucking subject of religion. If you're a religious person, you probably would want to see this movie. It is a horror movie based upon religion. But it's supposed to test your religion, but then it kind of shows you that, it's okay if you have a religion. It can give certain things to you. It's nice.
That's what I mean.
It can strengthen you.
That's what's kind of cool about it. And what's interesting is that I was reading some of the comments in some of the videos like that were reviewing it like on different horror channels, and some of the people in there were Mormons.
Yeah.
And they said, there's a lot of buzz about this in the Mormon community because it's about Mormons, you know what I mean? So everybody's like kind of talking about it.
They treated them fairly.
And a lot of them said they saw it and they really liked it.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's not anti-religion. It's not really pro-religion either. It's just kind of...
It's horror taking place in that genre.
Yeah, it's just something that's kind of like exploring...
The
idea of
religious
faith
concepts
and religious concepts and mythology and what it means to people in the context of like a horror thriller, which I thought was like a really brilliant idea. Like, because you could have just made this a very easy, Blumhouse, and I'm not shitting on Blumhouse, I'm just saying just like a regular...
Some Blumhouse is bulk. Some of it,
That's what I mean, where it's just like, oh, these two girls get trapped in like this crazy dude's house.
This bitch is a masterpiece.
Which, but I think what elevates this is just it's just kind of focusing on the religious themes and it having something else going on rather than him just being a psycho.
Tonally and visually, I put it up there with Midsommar and fucking and Hereditary. It's a movie that could nestle right in with those two movies.
It reminded me slightly, like, don't take this too far. It reminded me slightly of Barbarian.
See it,
At least now, this doesn't go as, because remember how I said, like, in the trailer, like, it looks like it's kind of an escape room thing. It's not really quite like that. I mean, Barbarian kind of went one way, and then it just went reeling off in, like, a crazy fucking direction. You know what I mean? That you absolutely did not expect, which I thought was awesome, because I loved that movie. This one doesn't go as crazy as that, but for some reason, like, the tone of this one kind of gave me the same vibe as Barbarian. You know what I mean?
I didn't see it, so I can't compare.
Yeah, it kind of, like, gave me the same vibe as that.
When he went down to those underground fucking occult caverns and tunnels and shit, to me it was like something out of Hereditary. Weird imagery that he drawn on the walls and fucking weird symbolism. And stuff.
Definitely,
and
like,
I'd like to go back and see
the model of his house that he had was definitely very Hereditary.
Yeah,
because that was like a big thing.
Yeah, and I'd like to I'm gonna buy this movie. All right.
Yeah, because I definitely want to see this again because there was a lot of
stuff that I'd had to see it again to see.
There was a lot of stuff in the background, like the art that he had on his walls, like the books that he had.
Yeah, and everything was symbolic.
Everything was in there, like, for a reason, it seemed like. Mm-hmm. And this seemed like, much like Hereditary, like you said, this is something you have to see multiple times because there's all kind of shit going on in the background that you don't notice the first time. And there's, like, all these little clues and, like, shit that, like, enriches the experience.
Yeah.
And I definitely got that feeling from this one that there was a bunch of stuff going on that you would need multiple viewings
The
to
games
pick
they
up
played
on.
with the soundtrack was fucking cool.
Yeah.
Morphing songs together and shit. Fooling you.
Well, see, that's what... It was hilarious because as soon as you walked out the theater and said about... the thing, and you said the song at the end, and I was like, yeah, it sounded just like that Mazzy Star song, Fade Into You, but it wasn't. It was
Knocking on Heaven's Door.
It was Knocking on Heaven's Door, like a version of Knocking on Heaven's Door.
And it was referring back to something that he had said, a story he had told.
Yeah.
That a lot of songs are just copies of other songs, and they just did a different version of them. And if you actually listen to them, you can hear them. You can hear that it's the same song.
Yeah, because he's trying to make a point about, because it wasn't just songs.
He's saying religions were the same thing.
Yeah, he was talking about board games also, because he talked about Monopoly, and he told the true story about how a woman had invented a game called The Landlords. I think it was called The Landlords game, like back in the early 1900s, and she really, and it kind of did okay, but then somebody else like stole the idea and made Monopoly and made $1 bajillion off it, and she didn't get any credit.
And she was forgotten. Yeah.
Which is true. That did happen.
And we don't want to steal his thunder though. I don't want to fucking give away what analogy he was making. It was a religious analogy.
Yeah. But yeah, he was trying to get them to like understand like what he was talking about, because they were the cool thing about these two characters, and those two. I mean, everybody in this. There's other people in it, but not many. It's mostly just the three of them. And like I said, it's very dialogue heavy, but all the dialogue is like really, really interesting.
It's pretty fucking intense.
And because you don't know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
You know they're in danger, but you don't know when it's coming or where it's coming from or what he's gonna do.
He's got him in a puzzle. It's a physical puzzle.
So the whole time, like I saw a couple of people comment that it's like this is one of the few movies that they've seen where like no frame of the movie or no line of dialogue was wasted. Yeah. Like every single thing like was relevant to
something else.
To something else that was going on.
And so were all the sets.
Yeah.
Like he's doing this to these. He's asking these questions to these girls after he first captures them. They're trying to be polite. The girls are trying to politely talk their way out of it.
Which plays into that's what Mormons
because they're both being polite. Yeah,
they're kind of known for being like super nice.
Yeah, and the fucking dude. What's the character's name?
Mr. Reed.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Reed's being real polite too, and he's telling them, no, you can leave at any time. Even though they couldn't leave, the fucking doors were locked, and you couldn't get out. The windows were too small. You couldn't get out, or they were too high. And he starts testing them at the very beginning of it in a room that if you actually look at it looks like a tabernacle or a church.
Yeah.
What it looks like a generic church kind of. His church had 2 doors. They show that in the trailer.
Yeah.
You can pick which door to leave.
Belief or disbelief.
Yeah, and he goes in and writes on one of them belief and disbelief. He says, if you don't believe in what you're telling, then you go out that door. Then that starts a big fucking discussion between them. It's pretty fucking cool.
Because he starts out, the cool thing about it is that he starts out very open to them and, very friendly and everything like that. As it goes on, his questions get a lot more pointed and uncomfortable, but he's never confrontational.
No.
You know what I mean? He's always unfailingly polite.
Yeah.
He's always, like, really nice. It's like, oh, please forgive me if I'm wrong, but blah, blah, blah. And, like, he'll say this other stuff. So it seems like he's not really attacking them.
Yeah.
Like, because he sounds really nice, but he just keeps ramping up the uncomfortable questions so that they are getting more and more uncomfortable in the situation. But he's, like I said, at no point is he ever... I don't think he ever like loses his cool or raises his voice or anything like that. He always comes across as
even when he gets violent.
Yeah,
even when he gets violent, he stayed level headed. And now I've already said that, giving away the fact that there are other girls in this house, and I guess that's how they got captured.
Maybe
going through this.
Although
I think he did something to them to make them believe in his powers, and they got more religious and stayed with him. It's kind of like captives. Yeah. But he was holding them with their religious faith. He was keeping them in little fucking cages and shit. Yeah. And he kept them fucking half starved and stuff.
Yeah, Phantom's saying it would have been epic if those were his wives, since he was going on about polygamy. Somebody else brought that up, like, online. That might have been, because everybody's like, well, where'd they all come from? Like, they can't all be Mormons that showed up at his door or whatever, but... that's just kind of left to your imagination, and I kind of feel like that's...
Well, I take it most of them that went through it were killed. Some of them, I guess, were saved.
Yeah.
And he kept them. And that's who that was.
Maybe so.
Right? Depending on their level of faith.
Yeah, because that seemed to be, like, important to him. That was something that he was interested in.
People that believed in God and fucking had faith in religions. I don't think he believed in a God, though. I don't.
No, I didn't get that impression. No. But I think he was interested in why other people did. And what it would take for them to abandon their faith. Or I don't think that was exactly what he was exploring. I think he was exploring people who believed in God, like what he could get them to believe in,
and what he could do to them.
Based, just by convincing them, like
that it was the right thing to do. That it was God, that God had a hand in what he was doing.
Yeah, I think that's what he was interested in exploring.
Right, I want to know what you can make a human do with religious faith.
Yeah,
what bad things you could do to him.
Yeah, okay. I think that was that was definitely what he was interested in doing. That's what he was.
Yeah.
That's what his experiment was, I guess.
Well, I think that was his religion.
Yeah.
His religion was power.
Yeah.
An evil power, basically, over people with perverted religions.
Yeah.
Yeah. He thought religion was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he knew all about it.
Yeah, he knew everything about like all of it.
And he had weaponized it to serve him. That's what I have to see it again.
Like I said, I definitely want to see this again.
Because it's hard to tell when he's lying or when he's telling the truth. I think he lies a lot about what he says because he said he had conviction at one time.
Yeah.
So I guess he doesn't believe in it. He just uses it.
Right.
He tried to get them to believe in a miracle, remember?
Yeah.
Wasn't a miracle, though.
Right.
I guess. No, it wasn't a miracle because she found the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan says, it's written so cleverly because they keep making you think that the blonde Mormon is going first and make her character more sympathetic and bubbly, but they do such a clever flip. Yeah, and honestly, the two actresses there, Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East are their names. I've seen Sophie Thatcher in some other things, but I don't think I've ever seen Chloe East in anything. The two of them, like the way they interacted with each other was so great. And like the one, what were they called? Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton. I don't even think they said what their first names were either.
Just
but
Barnes and Paxton.
But the way that they're set up originally is that Barnes, she's the dark-haired one, and she's kind of more. She was a later convert, I guess. Like, her family was not from Utah or whatever. This was wherever. And so she was a later convert, and you could tell that she was not, like, maybe not as on board with it. Whereas Paxton had been born into it and was initially kind of shown as being this very wide-eyed, kind of naive girl. I mean, they were both about the same age, you know, like they're 20s. About 19, 20, something like that. But as it goes on, they both kind of find, I don't know, like, I guess hidden reserves of strength, I suppose. So it kind of goes in a way that you don't expect it to go. And I like, too, that they didn't make any super stupid decisions. You know what I mean? Because like in a lot of horror movies where it's like, why the fuck are you doing that, dumbass, or whatever? It's like, in this one, I kind of feel like if they made decisions that maybe you or I wouldn't have made, it was just because of their upbringing. Like, you understood why they made those decisions, you know what I mean? Because they were just, like I said, they were Mormons, they weren't sure that anything bad was happening because of what they'd been told. And that was kind of the point that the movie was making, is that was the point that the villain was making, was that because you've been told this your whole life, you believe it. So he wanted to see how much they would believe when he told them, even when he was leaving clues that it was a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they showed in the trailer, the first trailer that I saw, where he said, oh, come in, my wife's making a blueberry pie, so it's like a big deal. And then they turned out it was a candle on the table that was the blueberry pie smell, so there wasn't anybody. And he left that there on purpose.
Yes, they'd find it.
So they'd find it, because he wanted to see, like I said, he wanted to see like how far they would go, like when they knew that he was lying.
It's the same thing with the secret door. The secret door that was in the floor, remember? Mm-hmm. He wasn't disappointed when they figured out he was fucking lying. They discovered it was just moving you on to the next phase.
Yeah.
Because at the end, she finds something of hers at the very end, and he knew that she would get there. Remember the bike lock?
Yeah.
So it was all part of a plan. He knew where she would end up, most likely.
Yeah, he knew what was going to happen. Like, at every turn, he knew every decision she was going to make before she made it.
Yeah. So some of the shit she catches him in, I guess he kind of wanted her to catch him in it, because it would open up the next level. Yeah. Basically, the next level of the test he was going to do.
Yeah, because like I said, he was interested in testing, even if I leave obvious signs that I'm lying, will you still believe me? Like, will you still do what I say? Is it going to
be blind faith?
Right.
Which I guess the other ones ended up being blind faith, and I guess he kept them.
Maybe so.
Blind faith, yeah. And if you didn't believe it, I guess he killed you.
Yeah.
It didn't say. He lied. He said you could leave at any time, but you couldn't.
Yeah, that was a lie.
Yeah. I think you either were killed or you kept you.
Yeah.
That's what I think had happened. He didn't have any intent of letting anybody go.
Well, no. Why would you?
Right.
I mean,
because you come and bring the cops.
You'd be shooting yourself in the dick.
Yeah, and he had a whole fucking weird occult damn castle he was living in. Subterranean fucking world he had made.
Yeah.
With a bunch of symbolism in it, which I want to see it again so I could analyze what it.
Like I said, there was a lot, and like I said, I kind of because I saw some different people's theories about what they thought the ending meant, like with the whole praying thing and with the whole butterfly thing.
Yeah.
And I have my thoughts on it, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I kind of like that they left it open to interpretation. You could interpret it like in 2 or 3 different ways.
My interpretation is that the butterfly wasn't there.
Yeah, I agree.
And what was the other one? The butterfly and
the praying and
the praying. Yeah, and if the praying wasn't effective, or we said the praying actually didn't do anything. But the thing is that her faith got her through it.
Yeah.
And she saw that, at least partially.
Yeah.
So I think what the lesson was is that having a faith when you're in a crucial times could actually help you survive it. Even if you die, it helps you through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In other words, believing in a pipe dream is better than fucking being totally nihilistic and just giving up.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I noticed that in the Army. You could just, as long as you thought about some fucking pipe dreams, what you were going to do when you got the fuck out of the field, you could make it through. But you didn't want to get too fucking wrapped up into how cold, how hungry or tired you were at the time.
Yeah, and you don't need religion for that. You could just kind of think about anything.
Think about anything.
Nice.
Right.
Hey, like, I'm going to go sit at home and watch horror movies and drink some coffee when I get home. You know
I was constantly like, I'm going to make it through this. So this is nothing. I'm going to make it through this.
Yeah.
I ain't quitting.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people
you're constantly fucking pushing yourself through it. So, but, God's watching out for me. He's protecting me. Fucking... People fucking after the people survive death and fucking or they're a soul in the afterlife. That's another thing that can help you if you believe that. You know, I had near death experiences. They talked about them in this. And yeah, is it real? Yeah, I think it is. I think it is real. Is it just your brain dying? No.
Well, they kind of bring that up too. I don't really think so. They bring that up, and he also brings up a little bit of a weird little side, which is not a side plot, but like a little bit of a weird thing, bringing up the whole everything is a simulation theory. Yeah, which I kind of like the way they introduced that too, because I was like, "Woo, this is weird."
The spirit world seems more real than fucking reality. It's like a hyper. You know how you take like a mind expanding drug? It's like that. It's even more real.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like at the time, but. Was it because my fucking brain's been bashed in during a motorcycle wreck? Hard to say.
That's what I mean. There's really no way of proving it one way or the other.
Yeah. Consciousness was still around.
Well, I mean, they have stimulated parts of the brain and replicated that. So I guess that goes a little bit of a way, but Phantom says, Tom and Jenny, did they hand out mini blueberry pies at the movie that you saw? They did not, but that would have been really coll. Then Tammy said it would have been blueberry scented candles. Haha. Yeah. But yeah, Phantom said I heard some people were actually getting mini blueberry pies handed out.
No, there's a blueberry pie in the movie.
Yeah. Well, there's the candle is there, but there is a blueberry pie later on in the movie. So it's not a total. Yeah, there really is one. Phantom says Mr. Reed is a dignified, maskless version of Mr. Slauson. Ooh, I didn't think about that, but that's like a really good...
Who's Mr. Slauson?
From Tourist Trap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, because Mr. Slauson is kind of more like a down-homey kind of, but it's the same kind of thing where he's just like seems real friendly and helpful and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, killer's not me, blah blah. But like as it goes on, you're like, oh shit, this dude might actually be the killer. But yeah, this is kind of the same.
What was cool in fucking
kind of the same thing.
What was cool in that movie though is that the dude had fucking RSPK. He had psychokinesis. He could make all that shit move.
That's one of the coolest things about that movie.
Yeah. Not only was he crazy and killer, he's a fucking psychic.
I love that they added that element because it was just like so out there, and I was just kind of like, all right, you don't see that much. That's kind of cool. And Phantom said it was awesome that Mr. Reed brought up Jar Jar Binks as being a god. Yeah, it's like, because I've often thought that too, that it's like, in a couple thousand years, like, will people be talking about like something like Star Wars or Marvel or something like that, like a religion?
They kind of already do.
They kind of already do. So
It's
I kind of
myth.
feel like in 1,000, 2,000 years that they definitely
It's a religious mythos.
They definitely will be.
Yeah. But so Superman.
Yeah, and it's all of that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, Phantom says, okay, so this is, I don't know, this is kind of spoilery or whatever. It's like we're kind of going off. But if you haven't seen it, you don't know what we're talking about anyway. He says, why would a butterfly be flying during a snowstorm? It clearly was Barnes, since Paxton said she wanted to be resurrected in butterfly form. Yeah, but the thing about it is that...
It vanished.
Yeah. So it's like, so I don't know... I don't know if any of that was real. And like I said, but I like that they left that open to interpretation.
She didn't know either.
Yeah.
You could tell by the expression of her face, she didn't know if it was real or not either.
Yeah. And in a way, it was almost kind of like, that was okay.
Yeah.
Like, either way.
Right.
But like you said, I think that was kind of like, I don't want to say the movie had a message or anything like that, but I think that was one of the things it was trying to say was that it didn't matter if it was real or not.
Yeah.
If it was real for you or if it helped you get through something.
Yeah,
you know
it served its purpose. Right.
Yeah, it served a purpose even if it wasn't real. So I kind of liked the way Paxton gave that little thing at the end, about the prayer study where she said she knew that prayer didn't work, but that it didn't matter to her.
Yeah, she did it anyway.
That she did it anyway.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, and I didn't know this going in, but this movie was actually written and directed by the team of Scott Beck and Bryan Woods, who also they wrote the screenplay for A Quiet Place, and they also did Haunt, which was really, really good. I think that came out in 2019, I want to say. Maybe it was newer than that. I think it's on Shudder, or it was, because I saw it a year or two ago. But that was good too. So they clearly know what they're doing. This movie, you know what? I wish, and I think I might have said this about The Substance too, because I said Demi Moore should get a fucking Oscar nom for that. Hugh Grant should get one for this.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal in this movie. He's so good.
Yeah. Well, everybody's great in the movie.
Everybody's good in this.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's mostly, there are some other peripheral characters every now and then, but it's mostly just the three of them, like, interacting. Like I said, it's almost like a stage play. This probably could be done as a stage play, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
I was not really I didn't know what I was going to be seeing, I saw the trailer and it looked pretty interesting. But I thought it was going to be kind of typical, superficial type movie. But as soon as you started going down the mythicism path, like, oh, these dudes did their fucking homework. And fucking just, I got kind of sucked into it. I was like, yeah, all right, yes. This is a pretty fucking cool flick. Very new. Never been done before.
Yeah, I've really never seen it done
not like this.
At this in this particular angle. Like I said, like a lot of horror movies are people get trapped in a house with a crazy person or something like that, but this is like putting a new spin on it that I don't think I've ever seen before. And like I said, you don't see a lot of good religious horror.
Yeah.
We talked about Frailty, we talked about, I guess The Exorcist is obviously religious horror, I guess. Yeah. You could call it that. But it's like you don't really see a lot of horror movies that are this... That the theme is this it's invested in religion and talking about these like philosophical, like religious discussions and stuff like that. And I thought that was a really cool angle because you don't really see it much. Yeah. And like I said, and it's kind of a cool motivation for a killer. Or a psychopath, if you want. Although I kind of feel like just calling him that is almost like too reductive. Is that weird?
He was a zealous heretic.
Yeah.
He was a heretic.
Yeah.
But he was a zealot though.
Yeah.
And he was making up his own religion. He was trying to get to the fucking basis behind religion.
Yeah, he was trying to get it down to its fundamental level.
Fundamental core.
Is what he was doing by essentially studying people's reaction or the way, or like I said, the things that their faith would make them do or accept. Yeah. I guess.
And my interpretation is that he came to the conclusion that religion is just power. But I think he might have been wrong, and I think the movie comes back and says that he was wrong. But the way he died, you know what I mean? And fucking she was praying, and fucking the way he died on top of her and stuff like that, and he felt like he was relieved. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Maybe, or he might have just been like trying to finish.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
Like I said,
a lot of stuff was hard to fucking I
they
had to see
leave
it
it
again.
open to interpretation.
Yeah, I had to see it
They
again.
leave things open. Not in an annoying way, in a thought-provoking way.
I think she kills him. You know, spoiler alert. She kills him, and I think from his point of view, it was salvation. That she had saved him and freed him.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got that impression, but like I said, you could read it in a different way too. Yeah. I guess
it's hard to say, but that's how I interpreted it.
But see, that's what I thought was so cool about this movie is that they leave that open, like, so you can have all these discussions about why you think people like they did particular things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it could be this way, it could be that way. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I thought. And that's like a kind of a fine line to walk, I feel like, with a movie like this, where it could have very easily, like you said, come off as showing the Mormon characters as, like, you know, naive or whatever, and
goofing on them, and
it really doesn't do that.
No.
Like, it's so
no, they were the heroes.
Yeah, like I said, it's not pro-religion, but it's not anti-religion either. It's just kind of using the concept of faith to, like, kind of get into, like, a philosophical.
The movie just showed them as people.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't fucking avatars for the Mormon religion. They were just people. They just happened to be Mormons, and they were the heroes in it.
Yeah, and I really liked their characters. I liked, like, the interplay between the two of them.
Yeah.
You know, and they were definitely, you know, they didn't get too much into their backstories too much or anything like that, but they were definitely, like, looking out for each other's backs and shit like that, and you know, and especially, like, in the end. But yeah, I mean, hot damn, man, there have been some good fucking horror movies this year.
Yeah.
Really good. I mean, I liked this one a lot. I'm not really sure. We went to see it yesterday at like 3 p.m. And there was, how many other people were in the theater? There was some. No, it wasn't super crowded.
There's probably about 30 people in there, 20 people.
Yeah. I couldn't tell, like, how, I heard some people talking about it when they came out, and they seemed to really like it. Because they were kind of, like, discussing it and talking about how cool, like, Hugh Grant was and everything like that, like, how scary he was.
Yeah, time to go see it.
I mean, yeah, I mean... Mormons with magic underpants. Yeah, they do make a couple jokes about that. But I think, like, the Mormons are joking about it because they get made fun of before they go to the dude's house about it, and then they kind of, like, lampoon it a little bit too, like, later on.
Yeah,
kinda.
Although there's a scene there, and when you're first starting to get to know the girls, some other girls play a trick on them having to do with magic underwear, and you're meant to feel sympathy.
Yeah,
that you know what I mean, that girl didn't deserve that shit.
Yeah, because she's a nice person.
Yeah.
Well, they were both nice people.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, the movie didn't, like, make fun of them.
Right.
For having, like, weird ass beliefs or anything, because Mormonism is pretty weird. But you know what I mean?
They're all weird, though. I always said that this.
Yeah, well, I always say that too. They're all weird. So.
Yeah, they're all. There's which, if you look at the Mormon canon, it's really not any more weird than the fucking New Testament or Judaism. It's in the same genre. To me, it's a genre of literature. You know, this is mythic writing. They're telling stories. It's not necessarily a bad thing to tell stories. You know, I fucking like to tell stories.
I mean, that's kind of how humans get information.
Yeah. There's stories that are designed to hold a community together, to give them a common sense of purpose, kind of like a cultural library to search through. Examples, you know, like shit. There's all kinds of stuff that never happened. That is a badass story. The Tower of Babel. If I just said, man, this is the fucking Tower of Babel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That it's just a mishmash of fucking shit that doesn't go together and it falls apart. You know what I mean? Fucking, just everything. These little fucking stories that are in there. You know the meaning of the story when they tell it to you. You know? And a lot of times it's not real deep. But it was probably deep back then. When they wrote it, you know.
Senor Stick says, do magic underpants work? What do magic underpants do exactly? One cannot have magic underpants without actually explaining it.
I forgot what it was.
Well, it's some kind of modesty.
Yeah, it's like a modesty
thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think, are they not allowed to take them off? Like when they're having sex? Or do they have to have sex sheet or something?
But the thing is, I don't think they have to wear those all the time. I think if I remember correctly, they only wear those when they're on missions and stuff. When they're young.
Yeah, I can't remember what the rule is exactly.
I don't think you have to wear the underwear all the time, if I remember correctly.
They have like symbols on them.
Yeah, it's only certain times that you have to wear them.
But like I said, I'm pretty sure it's like a modesty thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Something from the 1800s.
And they're not like sexy Victoria's Secret paintings or nothing like that. They're just kind of like,
they look like something that fucking.
Yeah, they look kind of like
robed from the Bible kind of looking things. They show.
Well, no, they're kind of like
flat.
No,
things.
they're kind of more like long johns, kind of, but not that long. Yeah. That's what I remember them looking like anyway. I thought that was like a whole thing, like a jumper, like a romper, but long.
Yeah.
I thought. I can't remember. I've seen them before, but I can't really remember what they look like.
They show them briefly in here, but I really couldn't make out exactly what they look like.
And then the weird thing, it's like near the end of the movie, like Hugh Grant's character, like he kind of makes like a weird. It almost seems like he's getting rapey for a second, because it's like he hasn't been like that like the whole time. You don't get any sense that he has any sexual interest in these girls. Like he's kind of more into
what they think and
what they think and and their faith and everything like that. But then there's one moment like toward the end, like where he comes right up on her and says something about the magic underwear. And that was like a weird moment, because it was almost like that was like a one rapey moment.
Yeah.
And that was the time, like I was kind of thinking back to the polygamy stuff he was at, because that was one of the things when they were just still having a little friendly conversation in the living room or whatever. And then he's like, I feel bad, but I really want to ask you like this really uncomfortable question, and is that okay? And all this other stuff. And they're like, well, we don't know because you haven't asked us yet.
The other girls must have been his wives.
And then he started asking about polygamy, and then like it started getting, like I said, not combative, but it was like the questions were making them uncomfortable, like clearly.
The other girls may have been his wives, or he may have considered them his wives.
Yeah.
Among other things. You'll see. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, Tammy said Little House undies. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. Senor Stick says, is this a Tusk situation? Not quite that. No. Not quite that.
No.
Not quite that bad. I mean, Tusk is, if you haven't seen Tusk...
That's a good movie, yeah. It's not like that, though.
It's nothing like that. That movie is fucking crazy. I like Tusk, though. I know it's a very divisive film, Tusk is, but I really dug it. It's weird as fuck, though. Not the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but it's pretty weird.
I recommend the movie.
I definitely recommend this one. Like I said, if you don't expect like a slasher or anything like that, like I said, it's very dialogue heavy. But it's not, because I have seen some movies that are, like elevated horror and people are like, oh my god, that was just slow and boring or whatever. This one, like I said, the first half of it is mostly just the three of them talking, but it's not boring at all. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's almost it
pulls you into it.
It's kind of Hitchcockian.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah, it was great dialogue.
Like the suspense is really good. Like all the dialogue is good. Like the acting is phenomenal. It's just like and it just sucks you in because you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, because you don't know exactly what the situation is. Yeah. The girls don't know exactly what the situation is, and you're like freaking out. Like, what's he gonna do to these girls? You know what I mean? Because you know something bad's gonna happen. You just don't know what it is.
If you know the Abrahamic religions, or you're involved in the Abrahamic religions, you should see it. You should see it. It's Christian horror.
Yeah, and I mean for people like us that are like really interested in religious mythology, it's actually like it's because like I said, you don't see a lot of horror movies that have that angle. Yeah. So it was kind of cool to see that, because I didn't know it was going to go that hard.
No, he went straight up. He was
in that direction.
He was a Christian mythicist.
Yeah.
So and I thought he was bizarre too, bizarre, the things he were doing, but it made sense because, well, he explains it. You just have to fucking see. But what I did like about it is that it comes. You can interpret it a couple different ways, and it doesn't attack religion. He does, in a way, but he also emulates. He copies religions.
Yeah.
Too. But the actual story and the meaning of the story, it leaves kind of plausible deniability that there might be a supernatural. You don't know. And if there isn't, it still can help you. That's what I took from it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, you could read it as some supernatural shit happened.
Yeah.
You could totally read it like that and it would be fine. But that's not the only way you could read it. Right. But I don't think you'd be wrong if you read it like that.
Yeah, I think it was meant to be vague.
Yeah.
It could be interpreted a couple different ways.
Yeah, like
depending on what your faith is.
And yeah, and that's
Probably
kind of
what
the
it was.
genius of the movie
Yeah.
is that because that's kind of the theme that it's exploring, and it's
Yeah.
also exploring that theme with the audience because the audience is going to put their own beliefs and their own faith into whatever's going on in this movie and like see it in a different way depending on what
Yeah.
your own beliefs are.
Right.
You know? I kind of feel like.
Yeah. I'm gonna buy it though.
Yeah, we definitely should because I was
Yeah.
thinking that today. I was like, man, I want to see that again. Like I
Yeah.
was thinking about it all day today. And I
Yeah.
was like, man, I really want to see that again. So, because I was so happy that I got to rewatch Late Night with the Devil, because I wanted to see that again. So I watched that again on Halloween night, and this is definitely another one that I want to rewatch for sure.
Phantom says he wants to take them on as new wives.
Maybe so.
It's hard. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. He didn't say he had other girls, and I guess that's how he got them.
Maybe.
I don't. But he never called them his wives.
No.
He said he had a wife, but they never show her.
Yeah.
He calls them
So you don't know if he really had one.
He calls
or
them
not.
something else, but he calls them oracles basically. Fucking, but kind of like Oracle Delphi. Basically, that's where he got that idea.
Yeah.
Keep some teenage girl in a fucking crack in between fucking natural gas coming out of the rocks. She'll say all kinds of fucking gibberish that you might think is a fortune, and it killed them. They didn't live long.
Yeah. Well.
But they didn't understand. They didn't know what natural gas was.
And what it was doing to their.
Yeah,
It's like, wow,
fucking-
they're saying all kind of mystical shit.
Yeah, frying their brains is what you do.
That must mean something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah.
Tammy is recommending on Tubi Invisible Monsters, Serial Killers in America. Yeah, I think I saw that. I'm not sure if I saw it advertised on or when I was scrolling through Tubi or Amazon Prime. I can't remember. But that did look good. I'm still watching what is it called? Murder Comes to Town. I've been getting into that for some reason. I don't know, like I like the narrator's voice and something about it. It's like it's usually like real small rural towns and it's like some horrible murder that happened and it's just like an hour-long show about each one. It's like I've kind of gotten into that lately. But I don't know how many seasons more of that there is. I think I'm on the second one. But yeah, I definitely want to look into that because that sounds also like right up my alley. But yeah, I mean, seriously, if you like psychological horror, I would definitely recommend this. I really liked this a lot. So much so, like I said, I definitely want to see it a second time. And I don't know, I hope it does well because it seems like it's doing good. Like it didn't cost that much to make, obviously. So
Yeah, it's not an action movie or anything.
yeah, no, it's just pretty much almost the entire thing takes place in one house. Like there's a couple scenes like outside, but that's it. It's mostly in like one house. So I need, it's like I feel like if you want to see more movies like this, you should probably go to the theater and support it, and so they'll make more like this. But like A24, I mean, their horror movies are usually really fucking good. So, and this is a really good one. I liked this one a lot. Oh, Senor Sticks asked if we'd reviewed any of the Human Centipede movies.
No.
I don't think we have.
I don't think we reviewed them.
I've seen the first one, and maybe the second.
I couldn't get through the second one. It was too boring.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
think I
first
saw
15,
parts of
20
the
on
second
this
one,
was-
and then I was just like, eh.
Yeah.
Like I said, the first one was kind of amusing, but I don't know. Maybe we will one of these days, but yeah, Phantom said he hoped there was a prequel to this movie. Maybe so, but in a way, I kind of like it. I kind of just like it being self-contained and just like leaving a bunch of stuff unanswered. I think that's like a lot more mysterious, but let's see. Desolate One said, have we seen the new series Day of the Jackal? Really good. Have not. Is that like a remake of, wasn't there a movie called that? Or like a novel from the 70s or something?
It's about an assassin.
Yeah, wasn't it? I thought it was.
So, yeah.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up for
Yeah.
the evening. So thanks everybody for dropping by. Hopefully you can come by on Wednesday doing another sort of true crime kind of show. This was something one of you guys recommended because I actually hadn't heard of this guy. This happened like fairly recently. But he's that guy, Christopher, how do you pronounce his last name? Batham? Not really sure. But he was kind of like this big rehab guru dude, like out in California. And turned out, shocker, that he was not only like really up in insurance fraud, but he's also a sexual predator. So that's always nice. So yeah, we're going to do a show about that dirtbag on Wednesday night. I actually read a book about him today like a novella, not a novella, but it was like a short book that somebody had written about him, and I read that today, like in preparation for the show, and wow, what a shithead. All right, so we're going to do a show about that on Wednesday, so that should be good. Again, thank you for dropping by this evening. Have a good rest of your night and good day tomorrow, and we will see you guys again on Wednesday night.